Good evening, YouTube, and welcome to Mindful Life 519. I am your host, Nathan Springer. Thank you for joining us today. It is presently 10:14 p.m. after 10. After hours in the year of our Lord 2025. It's the 28th of August. August coming to a close. Nearly back to school, folks. Are you all ready for back to school? Hey, Ronnie. Are you all ready for back to school? So it's Russia likes Africa better than the USA. I mean, I'm sure that's a narrative, but I don't know if I'll buy that 100%. I'm sure that there are different views on it. I don't doubt that there are differing views between Russia and the United States and Africa. But like I was speaking about a couple days ago, I don't have an assumption that a foreign country is supposed to have a view that is positive of me, my people, and my country. Most countries are lucky if their government is even seeking their own interest, as in their country's own interest. Oftentimes, governments are seeking the own interest of a small group of people inside of the country also. It's not about it's about business and different approaches to doing business. It's correct. It's propaganda videos at the end of the day. Yep, I'm not ready at all. People, homeschooling is the way forward. Well, you know where I stand on that. But Ronnie, you don't have anything to be ready for. You're talking just about traffic. You talking about the traffic? That's your main issue with the back to school. I do unless you have news that we don't know out there. As far as I understand, you don't have anyone to get ready for the schooling. We get an extra week though, thanks to our new government. A whole extra week to really get things sorted and ready. I think physical school should be 2 days a week and the rest home. Yeah. I don't doubt. And the thing is, schooling used to be a lot closer to that, you know. The public education system, what the conspiracists, as it will say about the public education system, is basically true. The public education system was designed to create nice worker bees, to create workers for the industrial revolution. That is what public education was designed for. Now, I know that communists love the public education system because the communists developed the public education system. In case you didn't know, our current public education system that we have here throughout the West, throughout the English-speaking Commonwealth, by and large, that public education system was developed by communists, and it was developed by communists to make nice workers for the party, workers for the industrial revolution that don't question things, go along with the group, and just a nice not individualists, but what you call those who see things from the group. Words slip me occasionally, but yeah, that's the communists came up with that process so that everyone is nice and uniform. Because for communism to work really ideally, you don't want too much individual thinking. Collectivists. Thank you, Shaka. Thank you very much. Collectivist was the word I'm thinking. Yeah, for collectivists to work really well, you can't have too much individual thinking, and that's what individual specialized lessons would do for a child. A child who is taught to the best of their ability would be an individual. You mean school for children? Sure. You mean free school for children? Sure, Nathan. You see, public education isn't just about free school for children. It's about indoctrination for children. It's about giving all children the same thing so that they can be groomed into the same worker. But all children aren't the same thing, so why should they get the same thing? Why should they be forced through the same system? But obviously the communists would like that. That's how you get everyone to believe the good of the group, whatever the boss say. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. If you get a bunch of good robots, well, you can create your communist heaven. But if you have individuals, it's very hard to get them to do exactly the same thing. If you have individuals, you are going to get differences. You are going to get that variation in outcomes with individuals, individuality. If I like something that's scalable, whatever it is that is scalable, I like it. Then obviously when I go into that industry, I'm going to scale up and make money. If someone likes something that they can only give to one person at a time, the chances I wouldn't make the same amount of money. Reality. How can anything not singing praises to the United States propaganda? I'm not sure what you say. Thanks, socialists, for where we are today, where we are at today in the negative ways, of course. I thank socialists for the degradation of the family. I thank socialists for the decrease of the understanding of human reality in children. Yeah, of course. I do thank them for those negative social ramifications. If you're talking about the wealth, well, then we thank free markets for the wealth. We know where wealth comes from. Even the socialists now know where wealth comes from. That's why even nations that attempt to be socialist, if they want to make money, they create a free market area for money to be made. Everyone knows where money comes from. Everyone knows how to develop that. So, if we want to thank the socialists for our negative social outcomes, the degradation of family, the depravity that we see shining through all over the West, well, yes, we can thank them for that. Thank you, socialists, for ruining societies. Well done. Make sure you get your flowers. We advocated for Medicare for all. We advocated for the Black Power movement. MLK was a socialist genius. I mean, MLK did have socialist leanings. I agree. But MLK wasn't in charge of any governing. He wasn't an administrator, a politician. He wasn't a member of government. So his socialist leanings are his private views that had no impact on anything. Now, as for wanting black people and white people to be treated equally, that is quite fine. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. That's not bad. Yes, you can want black people and white people to both be seen as humans. Grand. That doesn't make him, like, MLK had some good things on equality in races, but I wouldn't look to MLK if I'm looking for marital advice. Because the man was sound in one area doesn't mean that it's recommended to take his advice on other things. Gandhi was really good for India in certain areas, but the man also recommended that he slept with a bunch of nude young women to test his mettle, to test his self discipline. So he slept with naked young women. Okay. Like, I mean, not everything everyone does is a good idea. If you look at Nelson Mandela, some of what he said in his early life and some of what he said in his late life, they aren't necessarily both in full cahoots with each other. If you look at the resulting payoff of Nelson Mandela's party's sway into the left side of politics. You look at South Africa and you can see what that leftward politics did to their economy over the last 30 years. But that doesn't mean that Nelson Mandela wasn't indeed a great man in certain areas. So just because someone was great in one area, that doesn't boost up their socialist bona fides in some other area. That doesn't matter. I know they still do, Trini. I know they still do. And it's amazing with left wing, there's always somebody who is more left than you. There's always somebody who is more left wing than the left wing person. You meet a left wing socialist madman and you recognize they are fighting further left wing socialist madmen in their own group, because it's a race down to the bottom in that leftward politics. It's a race down to the bottom in that leftward politics, because the idea that we take from people and redistribute so that everyone gets enough, but then you take some and you recognize there are still some people who don't get enough, so you need to take more, and then when you need to take more, you recognize those that have don't want to give, so you have to force them to give some more, and then you recognize they want to run away, but if they run away, then you're not going to have any to take, to give, so then you have to stop them from running away, and it's all a race down to the bottom. It's all a race down to the bottom. It eventually always ends in the whole murder and violence and trap people inside the country so that they cannot escape kind of business. Always ends up like that because it's inevitable. The mathematics of the system does not run. The maths don't be mathsing. It just doesn't. PM1 now pass me there. I wonder if Tans will start back in the helicopter, boy. I wonder if Stan's gonna start back that helicopter life. Frequent flyer miles. You all here, we looking to get a group that you could apply to get a gated community by. Society has always progressed. The left wing has brought a lot of good in society. Well, I don't deny that left-wing politics has provided some benefit. Like unions, I think there was some good that unions did in the beginning. But in my personal opinion now, I think most unions are detrimental to society. That's my personal view. I think most unions do more negative than positives currently. But that's not to say in the beginning that they weren't necessarily a positive thing. That's not to say that the idea of the small man coming together and unifying his smaller power in the numbers, it doesn't benefit some way. I like that. Here's the thing. I like collectives. I do not want my country to run as a collectivist country, but I don't mind collectives within the country. And why should you want to force the entire country into a collective? Go form willing voluntary collectives with groups. And you know, the amazing thing, Mosquito, last time you fly in front of me, the amazing thing with that is that people regularly say they don't want to go into collectives because there's always a bacchanal and people is always trying to rob you. And then those same people want to change the entire country into a collective. Here's what. Form a collective with you and your cousins. Pool your money, invest in property and stuff, and see how that works. See how that works. And if that works well, expand it. Bring more people into your collective. Run your private collective. Why you want all of us in your collective? Go and form your collective. Buy out some ranch with your cousins and do that. Do your group economics. Do like the Amish. Go and do that. No one is stopping you. No one is stopping you. Listen. You and your cousins and your brethren and your friends and your nenen and them could pool all of your money together. Go down in Tabakit or Tamana or wherever you're going to get that. Talparo. Buy up 20 acres and run the 20 acres as a collective paradise. Nathan, but arguably society is a collective. We all depend on each other. No, it's not a collective in those terms. Yes, it's interconnected, but it's not a collective as in we all pay into the pot and we all extract from the pot. That's not the kind of collective it is. No. Because if you're looking for interrelationships and you're saying interrelationships makes us a collective, then the entire globe is a collective, and actually no, we aren't. So, not really. Arguably, and that's a different kind of collective. Interrelationship doesn't mean collective in that sense. And that's the thing. Like, I think those smaller collectives would work. Those smaller collectives would work. Like, you could run communism with you and your family. Which is more socialist leaning, UNC or PNM? Really hard question, Abdul. Really hard. It's a strange question. I've thought about that. And in terms of old school populist left wing, UNC. because the UNC started as the United Labour Front, the ULF. It started as a union labour party. Almost all labour parties are generally more socialist, more left-wing. That was their intention. Collective. However, the racial dynamics of Trinidad and Tobago has it as such that the Indo-Trinidadian is generally more entrepreneurial. So a party that attempts to cater to that racial demographic may generally be seen as being more open to a free market. So although the UNC has that populist left-wing side, by default of the businessmen that they have in their ranks, they also kind of have to let things flow. However, the PNM, generally speaking, not being tied to the labor market the same way, could be seen as more capitalist. But I would say the PNM is more crony capitalist, where they seem to it's like the PNM enjoys the society of the colonial days, where the general society functions as wards of a powerful state. None of our parties are socialist treasurer. Okay. And the centralized powerful state takes care of all of these poor colonial followers, subjects. While the real movers and shakers in the country, in the state, the real movers and shakers make all of the decisions. We are the ones that really understand how to run this thing. So we will make those decisions on your behalf. Crony capitalism is equal to capitalism. What? No, they are different definitions. That's like saying a tall man is the same as a bald head tall man. Not necessarily. A bald head specifies what kind of tall man there is. You could have a Rastafarian tall man and a Rastafarian tall man and a bald head tall man, and the same thing. Crony capitalism and capitalism is not the same thing. You can say crony capitalism is oftentimes how we see, as you see in real life, oftentimes how we see capitalism show itself because of the selfish nature of man. Now, here's the thing with my view on that. I kind of agree that nearly any time you do free markets, you're going to get cronyism in it, because human beings are given to tribalism. Tribalism is what causes that cronyism for the most part. Ours, we want to make sure our crew, our people get the best. That's the tribal side, and the greed side. The greedy people, they want to make sure that they get the most. So with the tribal nature and the greed nature of mankind, capitalism often shows itself with cronyism inside. All right. But if we are admitting that humans are naturally tribal and naturally greedy, would you give those humans more power over your resources in socialism? Like really? How does that make sense? You're saying that human beings are too greedy and tribal to run capitalism fairly. It's always going to devolve into crony capitalism. Okay. So how are those greedy tribal humans then going to do something that takes even more trust than capitalism? How? Exactly, Ronnie. Every week a socialist. But you see, socialism springs naturally from the mind of the young and naive. When you're young, you have little. It doesn't have a degree in that, but nearly all universities lean towards that kind of teaching. A lot of teachers are left-wing in nature too, you know, especially university professors. Here's a brutally realistic statement on many not all, but many university professors. Many university professors are envious. Because what might be the case for many professors is they are heavily studied. They feel like in terms of paying the cost to learn something, they paid the cost. But in terms of the free market, they don't earn that much. You spend all this time learning and you don't earn it. You don't get the reward for all that learning you did, because the free market doesn't pay off effort. It's not effort that the free market repays. The free market repays usefulness. So many university professors spend a lot of time in university, and then they look out and see that some uneducated buffoon might be a billionaire by just making a useful doohickey. No. So they oftentimes preach that kind of socialist thing into their students. Socialism is raising in popularity. Where do you think it's raising in popularity? Do you think there are more socialist leading countries now, or were there more in 1990? Because I can give you that answer. You think socialism is more popular now than during the Cold War period? You really believe so? Really? Socialism is dying in popularity, I think. It's dying in popularity, I think. But yeah, it's understandable why young people are socialists. They are young, so they are more ignorant. They have less knowledge of things. They also have less things in general. So if we are telling people what we're going to do is take from those who have plenty and give to those who have little bit, that sounds very beautiful to a young person who has little bit. They feel like, well, I have little bit, so I feel like I want to get from the people who have plenty. So socialism would sound grand to a person like that. Treasure, jump in the box now, man. Let me talk. You said give you a few minutes gone. Jump in the box, let's discuss. Tell me why socialism makes so much sense. How we are going to convince, how are we going to convince the general public to look past their greed, to look past their tribalism, and to look at us all as a beautiful collective, and we would all make money for everybody. Feel free, jump in the guest box. Let's discuss this. I've invited you, in fact. Would be very interesting. It's very, very, very interesting. It makes sense on an emotional appeal level, but when you start to get into the nitty-gritty of it, you start to see, the maths doesn't seem like it's going to mathematic itself too well here. Doesn't seem like it's all going to pay off as we'd like. Someone has to decide how to redistribute it. Anyway, people, what's in the news in Trinidad and Tobago? Hey, today I was on Facebook doing some commenting. Lovely fun to comment and get the reactions on good old Facebook, and looking at some people who are upset about those laughing at anti-cams and a fall. We spoke about the fall last night. I said, I don't find the fall pretty funny. Like, that's not something I laugh at. I'm not the kind of person that can't hold back a giggle anytime anybody falls. You see a little child fall, I find that to be extremely immature and personally distasteful. However, I'm not going to jump on anyone's case for laughing. Not last night, sorry, night before. I'm not going to jump on anyone's case for laughing. Wait, I was on last night, wasn't I? Yes. For laughing at a fall. When everybody laughed at Stuart falling the last time. No, it was last night. Everyone laughed at Stewie when he fall. Well, not everyone, but lots of the people that are so offended. Their pearls are being clutched at the thought of laughing at someone that falls. How could you? But you were all giggles when Stuart made his fall. As the statement goes, do so, do like so.
As they talk about good night, as they talk about Stuart Paul, and I just laughed to myself thinking, that was kind of funny.
You see? You see? No, Ronnie. I'm not jumping on your case for laughing at Stewie, you know. That's your prerogative if you find it funny. But if you laugh at Stewie, you can't come now and tell anybody don't laugh at Cams.
I didn't tell anybody they can't, but I didn't laugh at her because this is the difference, right? This is an elderly.
You see, I hate this. I hate it with a passion. You know why?
Why?
What you doing in the work then? You know what that's like? That's like you come to sweat. All are we sweating is hard sweat. All are we have on boots. We sweating hard. It here no take back here, no small thing. And you bring your little sister barefoot in the sweat to sweat. And now we supposed to every time she get the ball, we had to slow down. No, don't tackle she too hard, and there's a little girl and she have on no boots, But you're in the sweat. If there's a little girl with no boots, then don't go in the sweat.
I understand what you're saying.
And then don't tell me, take it easy. Because I get in big blade, men skate tackling me, my shin hurting. So I go and just let you walk in the goal? Nah, man.
What do you think it's any intoxicants involved in that situation?
Oh my God. No, it looked like, listen, I understand where everybody coming from, man. It was quite, I didn't see it until today when I watch it, because them things make me cringe now, so I don't really watch them things. But when people started talking about it, I thought she faint away. I thought it was
Nah, she tripped.
Issue. But then I get to realize it was a trip. And that's how I ended up watching the video. But I still wouldn't laugh at her per se. But I wouldn't tell anybody not to laugh at her. Because when Stuart Young fell, she was all over the place talking about Humpty Dumpty and Humpty Dumpty. So,
and
why we could laugh at Stuart when that comes?
Stuart Young is young.
And Stuart Fall was worse. Stuart Fall was actually worse than her fall, He fall off her stage.
Yes, that is. And you laughing at Stuart Young. You see?
I laughing at the situation. I'm not laughing at Stuart.
Well, I laughing at the situation.
Well, then you can laugh at the situation with Tants too. And the thing is, I don't know if it had intoxicant and all that kind of thing, because I understand how you could trip on those things. If you ever go to those functions, those rubber tiles are a problem.
Doesn't she have a personal aide supposed to be by her side where that person was supposed to catch her?
But if you watch the video extended from before, she was walking with an aide, But then
you just watch the PM drop poop on the ground.
But then it looked like they kind of walked into single file to enter under the tent. So she had people in front of her and people behind her, nobody at her side. So
that is very concerning though. And
that's the thing. Now, I understand tripping on the tile, because those I telling you, I walk on some of those and it's not easy, it's not hard to trip. But the idea that we have to be worried because of the age if you take a tumble or something like that, I think that's not ideal, personally.
Yeah, because we can't deal with Barry, telling all of this one night.
Well, look at this again. Yeah.
I can't deal with Barry.
I feel like I wouldn't forgive UNC if they do that,
Why?
UNC will never get back in my good books if they do that.
Nah, they ain't gonna do that. They can't do that.
Nah, they can't do that. They can't do that.
Jamaica and the whole crib but ain't got done but you out to
How? And they get Barbados a blind?
People that's kind of put a blind eye to the females. There's kind of put a blind eye.
That's true, they do. They do.
That character.
Is there any out and about male global leader?
Apparently, according to Candace Owens, apparently,
Hey, she getting sued for that, with she silly self. I hope she had the money to get the people.
I don't know what it. I say allegedly, apparently that's what Candace Owens said.
You know they say the same thing about Michelle Obama.
Yes, they have said that, but her children look just like her.
You don't have none out waving a flag publicly saying, yes, I am that. Calm down.
Ronnie, you wanna go down a rabbit hole?
I don't want to.
Go look for pictures of her pregnant with them.
I don't want to.
Let me don't go down that rabbit hole, but I don't think there are any. And I don't even think there are any where the suspicions are heavy. I don't even think there are any where the suspicions are heavy.
No.
But if, God forbid, I don't want anything happen to Cams, but if, like, you know, she need a little time to recover from a tumble or something, who you all feel would be the next substantive leader in the UNC? Not somebody trying a thing kind of thing, but if the baton were to be passed, who you feel it would be passed to inside the current government?
Who you think?
If she need just how, like, a time, like a vacation, or like
like, if it has to pass to somebody.
We're going to get press conference every single day.
Who again?
We're going to get press conference every single day when he is the acting Prime Minister every day.
Jolene, you mad or what?
Paul Duncan?
Chance to touch that.
I don't think so, bro.
Like that.
I don't think so, bro. Like,
Jolene,
I think Jolene and Cams are very close. I don't think even that's Mama Guy thing. I think they are close allies. I think Jolene is a close ally. But I don't think she would command the troops as effectively.
Were UNC supporters malfunction?
Don't think?
Like, oh gosh.
Anyway.
Let we be measured in how we see things. I don't think she would command the troops.
Right?
Like, even Stewart wasn't able. Yeah, what's that, Ronnie?
As I've thought about it before, like who in the current UNC could run the UNC, because whether we like it or not, even if she doesn't pass, she's not going up for the next elections. So there will be somebody new going up for the next. Well, hopefully, oh gosh, can't do that.
I'll stop saying that now, boy. Don't put that out there now, boy. Delete them.
What I saying there? Who? Listen to that. Like,
I like Saddam, but he's not going to get it. Unfortunately, and I can't see anybody else being able to do it. It will come down to like.
Let me look at it in two realms. Let me look at it from two angles. One angle is who you think Cams would anoint as her successor, and the second is who you think the UNC internal voting group would vote for.
Internal voting will vote for Munilal, and they're going to be on this.
And that's the thing. I feel Munilal may be the next inside in terms of internal voting. I think Munilal would be poison on the national stage.
Can you imagine he as Prime Minister? Jeez.
Well, we don't have to. He won't be.
I don't think Mr. Munilal, I think he's a doctor now. I don't think Dr. Munilal would be able to win a national election. Now, to be fair, I don't think Barry would either. But I don't think Barry would even win the internal elections. I don't think he'd win internally.
You think so?
I don't think so. Listen.
Even if he get endorsed, only present leader.
I think even if he got endorsed from the present leader, he still wouldn't make it. Listen, even though they vote for him because he is inside the crew, the majority of the UNC voters are also very Caribbean conservative too, you know, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like inside the PNM, there were allegations of people who behave certain ways too. But even with the PNM supporters being as Caribbean conservative as they are, they go. That's to show you how powerful the party politics is in this country. Eh? That's to show you how powerful the party politics is in this country. Mr. Barry wins as a member of parliament in seats. But he only wins in super safe seats. Seats where he doesn't actually have to fight for votes. But what that says is the same thing that Dr. Williams said way back. A crapo in a PNM jersey. Anything wearing the right jersey in the right constituency. It shows us the nature of party politics in this country. People don't care. But I don't think Barrs would win on the internal poll. Yeah.
Are there any members in the UNC male married with a family?
Munilal.
When I say like real frontline.
Frontline. Frontline. Like you see their family, you get to see their family.
I can't think of one.
That's my.
Who?
Well, I mean, old school foundation members.
No, current.
I don't want to go too old because remember we're looking at the next 5 years.
I ain't see it.
I can't think of one. I mean, granted, same for the PNM, eh? Well, no.
No, not necessarily.
Meh. Questionable.
I have seen news on Amory Brown's wife. I know he's in an interracial marriage, for example. I've seen some news talk about that. You know, speaking of Khadijah actually seems she actually seems ambitious. I think she wants it. Khadijah was, at least she went up for president back in UE days for the UE Guild. She lost back then. But somebody in that lane shows that, you know, they have some ambition. And in the earlies of her politics, she was much more high flying. It seemed like she was headed for a higher position than it seemed like Tanti Camp's clipped her wings. It seems to me like the Tanti don't like too many high flying women around her. That's just what it looks like to me. But I think Khadijah has ambition. Like, you know who looks very ambitious on the PNM side? Education, Gatsby Dolly. She looks super ambitious. Like she wants it. And I think Khadijah is in that mold. Khadijah also is honing her public profile. Right through Khadijah with her son, eating food, playing pool. You're holding a public profile. So.
Yeah, but she's a very anyway. I have her on my list of people to watch. So I have a list, right, in my head. I have people that would be or possibly could be leaders. I have people that I don't want to see ever be the leader, and then I have people to watch on both PNM and UNC. I want to know you don't want to, you don't want to ever see them as the leader list. Or what that list? Tell me that list. Well, I have Munilal obviously for UNC. I don't want to see him that high. Yeah, he high on that list, real high. And actually, for people that I would like to see, unfortunately, Vasant Bharat is on that list, but he's not going there. We all know. Oh, you want to? Oh, you want to? I thought you put Vasant. I thought you put Vasant on your don't want list. I was now going to say why. No, I want to. See I think it will be curious, and I think Vasant would bring the UNC into a different era. I think he would change. I think he would change UNC a bit. Remember the accusation that Kams sent to Vasant was he's a knife and fork Indian.
That's what she said about him. So I think there would be some change in the nature of the party if Vasant were to get in there. You know who's at the top of my don't want to see list? Lawyer guy.
I don't think you want to be there after Kamsi.
Listen, I personally find that man scary, you know.
He's there too.
Let me tell you why. Because I do not think he's a good man. But I will never doubt his intelligence.
What do you mean who's that guy?
The guy who only beaten up the government right through in the Privy Council. That man, I feel like that man has the ability and the mindset of some of the authoritarian, totalitarian leaders of history. That is the vibe I get from that guy.
You know who I get that vibe from?
Who?
Yes. He on the next Saturday, I know.
Calm?
Huh?
Who? Calm?
I don't call nobody name, huh? The half Iraqi.
Oh,
They have what?
the guy who raking in the money from rent. You know that Ronnie boyfriend, innit?
Of course. Excuse me, you don't see my boyfriend there?
Like, I don't like the position as part of the government, but I don't think
You don't trust him at all.
on top of the table.
Nah, I wouldn't put him up there.
Yeah,
He really wanted it, but
but you see,
for whatever reason, they fall out and they push you in the.
I think in a democracy like ours, it could be dangerous to get the business oligarchy inside of the political oligarchy. I don't think that's something you necessarily want. Like, you kind of want the political oligarchy to be they have a nearly an antagonistic relationship to some extent with the business. Obviously, the businessmen are sponsoring and wanting them to do this and wanting them to do that, and the campaign financing and all of that. But that means that the business has to try to convince the politicians. But if we have the business oligarchs as the politicians themselves, so I could see the worry there with him. But top of my list is lawyer guy. That's who lawyer guy is top of my list. Moon's in that list because I just feel he gonna annoy me so much. I feel if Moon's end up as we leader, I will stop do this work. I will stop do this kind of content and thing because I can't read his statements and listen to him every day. I always remember, I think it was BC Perez in the papers wrote an article saying Munilal is as palatable as broken glass. And
He just said that aura like he don't like nobody.
yeah,
You say what?
an aura like he don't like nobody.
Kind of aura like he don't like nobody.
Oh.
He and Bar's on my list too. To be honest, Bar's on my list.
What? I think
Calm?
we all have the same list.
Calm. I kind of wish we referred to Calm in past tense in Trinidad politics by now, to be honest with you.
I think nice that they hopefully fingers crossed. This was the last.
And Calm's move, the fact that Calm come back have me feeling like I wouldn't be surprised to see his hat in the ring for the next election.
Lie.
I doubt.
Ronnie, well, why he here still?
Because he could, but oh gosh, you're gonna stay so long?
If he wanted out, this was the perfect time to leave. This was the end of an era.
But who said he wanted out? He wants out.
So,
How old is he anyway?
Like,
It does seem a little old, but how old
but
is he?
Ronnie, like, think about it. The only reason in my mind to have remained in active politics, and I'm still here in calm, talking and thing out here. The only reason he's still doing that is to stay relevant for the next elections.
Okay, so the reason I would say, I think getting rid of him would just make the slate for PNM too new. Because almost they got rid of a good bit of the, older heads.
Too new for what? And they lost?
In the last election, yeah.
Too new for what? And they lost?
I'm talking about before they lost.
Let me say this, I don't think the PNM voters willing at this point yet, unless somebody really do the work and pay the work for the next 5 years, whoever it may be. I don't think they're ready to vote in somebody like Colmore, Stuart Young and accept them as a leader as yet. I don't think so.
I think they will take Stuart over Colm any day.
I think so too.
They didn't show that in the last election.
I think if it's an option, they will choose. I think they will choose Stuart over Colm, but I don't think you're going to get a massive turnout over Colm from PNM. I don't think so. If you want a big turnout from PNM, you're very likely looking at the Foster Cummings and those kind of guys more likely, I think.
Why was Amy Brown overlooked?
I don't know. You'd have to ask people who know inside of PNM. Because to me, he would have been, like, if you were creating a candidate, that would have been the perfect candidate to me.
Because he and them fall. He was not in with the them. He was with the next side. There was a fracture and he was on the wrong side. So that's why he was overlooked.
Well,
He and them wasn't good.
well,
And,
hopefully he good with the new them, because I'm sorry, Penny ain't appealing to me.
No, she's not.
The leader foreign affairs is just somebody that want to get rid of. Let's go so now.
True.
Yeah.
Good point, Abdul. That's a good point, actually. Foreign affairs isn't a powerful portfolio. But yeah,
But, oh gosh.
Auntie Pence, I don't have a dislike for her. I don't have negative feelings towards her, but
The only problem I have is I have with her is again the age.
No, she's weak.
The era of thinking and that we looking to still put as a leader. Yeah, that is what I have a problem with.
I agree. And here's my problem with the age. I don't mind necessarily an old leader that started young. Like, if you were the prime minister at 40 and you ran good and you're still running good and you're still the prime minister at 60, which is a very long time. Singapore, I believe, had that kind of thing. Then maybe that experience is a positive thing. But if you have never been in the office and you're jumping fresh to start this brand new career, as it were, as a septuagenarian, as a pensioner, that seems kind of ridiculous to me. Like, where the mid-40s folks? You're somebody mid-40s now?
Mid-40s. Okay, let's look at mid-40s.
Amory?
PNM would we say would be good leadership material.
Amory, Foster,
I love Foster Cummings too. I don't know.
Stewie,
why. He was over.
Faris. I'm talking about men kind of in their middle-age prime. Stewie, Faris. They have a whole lot of people in the wings. Helen Maureen, Kwesi Robinson, a lot of that kind of elder millennial that train through the PNM ranks. They have a lot of them, They have a lot of them.
Kwesi Robinson, repeat that. Brian, no, he's not ready.
Helen Maureen, I said.
You didn't say Kwesi Robinson.
Yes, Kwesi Robinson, Helen Maureen. I was listing people at that kind of age. I wasn't saying necessarily they're ready to lead because they haven't even gotten into constituency politics yet, so maybe they aren't even ready for that, but I'm saying they have people around that age. Brian Manning, I find he is as charismatic as drying paint.
When it comes to charisma, Forrest will bypass every single one of them. That's the thing, eh?
And listen,
As somebody in the media projection, he is the guy.
some people get tied up how much and how useful that projection of sweet man works on the female audience. Women are the top marketed to group. You can market to women. That Faris in the tight pants and fitted jersey walking up and down the road. Ronnie done fall for it, you know?
No, that's not true. That's not why I like Faris. I like Faris because every time, if you see Faris and you want to talk about something, he doesn't listen to you. He will stop and talk to you.
That's what I mean. He's charismatic. That's what we started talking about. He's a very charismatic person. And all the conversation would start with a massive... Yes. Those are the scary ones self. But yeah, Faris, I think... Don't forget the button-down shirt. Yeah! I don't like him. He seems fake. Treasure, you're a male. You're a man, aren't you? Treasure, are you a man or a woman? I'm curious.
Treasure, I've had too much problems in this life. Treasure, I've a problem with everything.
You're a man. I kind of wondered if you were female before. But from the time he say he seems fake, that sounds like a man. Men don't like men who like to push that too sweet man vibe too much. That is raise up red flags in men. That is raise the red flags in men. Any man like you, I sure if you look at I sure there's a picture somewhere with Faris shaking a woman's hand with two hands. You know that sweet man shake hand where they come and they shake your hand and then clasp it with this other hand here, so that kind of over touch shake hand. I sure it have a picture somewhere with Faris shaking a woman's hand, so watching in her eye, and the husband or the man somewhere at the side so watching so.
Okay,
with a big grin on his face, a big smile on his face, too, eh?
I'm sure that picture exists somewhere. I'm sure, because men don't trust that. Whoa, there, sir. All that sweet man thing. Whoa.
Whatever.
But Ronnie, the whole hand work on you.
That man, they come up, get to talk his socialism.
He'll never come. I know that.
That's why it's one woman too, in a really, actually. The way you want to jump up in the box kind of vibes out there.
He wanna fight that. He knows what he knows, but he wants to keep that socialist dream alive because he hopes that there would be some way he could get what else other people have. But no, you're not going to get what I have. If you want it, go and work for it. What I have is mine, and you don't deserve it. Leave mine alone with your long eye. Stop watching my stuff. Shucks.
But anyway, who is on your top of your... I don't want to see them. Apart from Callum, who's giving a tree in PNM?
In PNM that I don't want to see. Callum. Well, Heinz removed himself kindly. Let me think. Who else I really don't want to see? You know, believe it or not, the amount of the level of wanted she has makes me not want to give Gatsby Dolly.
Oh.
And I don't too like what she did under the Ministry of Education. You see that tackling of the Concordat? Bad precedent. That idea of wanting more government control, bad precedent. Then removing the placements in the SCA. I don't like those kinds of ideas. So I feel Nyan might be on my list of I don't want there.
And Liza?
I ain't done. I'm thinking. calm, Nyan. I have to think about people who there right now. Huh. Who's there right now?
Abdul, think. I want to hear you.
I mean, like, I don't, Karim Marcel hasn't struck me as
He's young, he's too young.
that's the thing. I was getting to that. He hasn't yet struck me as I like his flavor. Even though he is young, I don't really like the tone and tenor that he goes with. But he is young, so that might change. Scotland, no. No, I don't have anything personally against him because I don't know the man.
Oh, there's our next one, Ronnie.
That's our next Barry. Our next Barry.
And the man at trend.
And Barry have a child?
Excuse. Excuse. Hello.
Well, last Barry have a child. Well, last Barry Padarat have a child.
Barry have a child and the child has father did an article.
Boy, stop clown me now, boy. Stop clown me now, boy. Stop clown me now, boy. Boy, Barry Padarat, stop clown me
Barry have a
now, boy.
child.
Today is Tuesday, you are clowning me, boy.
He does not talk to
The man have a child. He has a daughter.
That he birthed from his own loins.
Don't give
Alright, brother. Okay, because I'm right.
No.
Give me that way. Because I want to know if he produced one from his own loins, from his royal oats, my guy.
I'm
What we
sure he
talking about,
does.
like?
Wanting healthcare isn't envy, it's survival. Stop confusing justice with jealousy, panel. Here's the problem with that.
I feel like
When you say healthcare, what do you mean? Isn't healthcare a doctor doing work on you? So that's someone's labor. So what you want is someone's labor. You don't get someone's labor. You have to pay them if you want them to do work for you. Yes, you could be dying. But that's not the doctor's fault. Listen, if I am a farmer, I don't owe you food. Yes, you need food to live. You could be starving to death. You aren't owed my food to live. Like, what? What do you mean wanting healthcare isn't envy? You could want what you want, but it isn't free.
But wait, how healthcare and justice get caught up in the same realm of things, though? Like, I want healthcare as well, enough because I know I out here being a human now, but I don't pay for it. At the end of the day, healthcare isn't free now. The people who run around talking about education free, healthcare free, those are things that are taken out of your taxes, everybody collective taxes to pay for it. You don't pay upfront for it in this country, yes. But at the end of the day, it's quote unquote subsidized to some degree in terms of the taxes that you pay.
Because if we had to pay a cash figure for the education compared to what we may be paying in taxes, it's not comparable.
Well, I mean, it would be much less or much more.
What I'm saying is not free, meaning that none of our monies don't go, not go towards these things, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to pay teachers, you have to get resources for books, you have to get resources for scalpel, all kind of MRI machines. Those things don't come out of thin air, you know.
When people talk about free healthcare and free education, they are speaking in the terms of comparisons to other places. When you go to a medical institution, you either have to that's not countries. They are speaking in comparison to other countries. When you go to a medical institution or education institution, you either need to hire a check, your cash, or your insurance to back yourself.
I get what you're saying. No, I get.
Right, so that's what, when we say free healthcare and education, everybody knows what we mean.
But there's no even America, the federal government also subsidize healthcare to a degree, you know. It's not like also subsidize education to a degree too, you know. Shan't they go have private healthcare, have private schools that we pay for?
That's where I was going to get to, Trini and Percent. You see, something shows very clearly when we look at Trinidad. We have free healthcare and free education. But the biggest booming sectors in the last probably 6 years has been our private education and private healthcare industries. With free education and healthcare, why do you think that is? If the free education and healthcare is so grand, if the free education and healthcare is so grand, why do all our leaders put their children in private education and they fly out privately to get healthcare? If it's so grand.
I would say the
Man, please, man.
I would say the public school system without really being so grand enough. Everybody know you may get a better quality education environment in a private institution, a private setting. It's not a matter of being so grand. Who could afford to go private goes private, right? It's just that at the end of the day, the reality is, yes, it comes out of the state coffers to provide these services, but fact is, 95% of the population, or maybe 90% of the population, cannot afford private education. They simply cannot.
But here's the argument and balance on that, Abdul. The balance on that is, if the government doesn't pay for it, that money returns to the society and it can be used otherwise to pay for it. Now, when you look at it in that realm, we look at it as how much it costs at present when the government is sponsoring it, how much does it cost per student, per school. And I'm quite sure, I don't know the figure offhand, but I'm quite sure if you look at that figure, it's going to be way more than it is worth. The government might be paying something like 20,000 per term or something when you look at that. And if we were able to get that out from the government so the government doesn't remove that from the society. Remember, the government isn't making money, they're removing that elsewhere from the society. So the government isn't taking that out of the society anymore. That is returned to the society. Very often what you would see is many of the prices of those things would drop first off. Then secondly, you would see insurance coming to cater for paying for these things in a different way. That's the reality. Now, I am not necessarily saying that I would prefer fully privatized healthcare or education. I'm not sure. I think I would. I'm not sure. I'd have to reason it out if I'm saying that. But the idea of just looking surface level at the benefits of free education and free healthcare, because when you wanted it, the vast majority of people in Trinidad and Tobago went through the most of their life taking much less out of our free healthcare than was taken from them to put into it. The people that spend most of our money in the free healthcare are the people that eat the most and eat bad. And they're broxing our country with their bad eating habits. So, free healthcare would also dictate that whoever is paying for this free healthcare has to start to dictate the diets of the people, because diet has a big function on how you end up in the healthcare system.
But education-wise, that could be done. But instead of doing that, we'll have to be willing. We will have to be willing, and we have to admit this, to sacrifice this for the first set of people, whether it be for the first 5 or 10 years, if so long, that cannot and will not be able to afford the private services. This is just like this. That is just how raw as it is. Because, hey, Trini, I know you. Trini, it was up to you, Trini. Trini, it was up to you. Trinidad Tobago will have 0 subsidies, 0 services. You won't have no pension, you won't have no NIS, you won't have nothing.
Yeah, right? Go out and make it. Go out and get it. Exactly what about pensioners? Here's the...
But you think, right? You think the system is would run perfectly. That reality does not exist anywhere.
I never say that. I never say that. That never once come out of my mouth.
Right.
See, that's a problem, Abdul. You think because I make a statement...
Yeah, but not everything has to come out your mouth.
No, but how you assuming these things for me? No, don't put words in my mouth.
Pause before the pensioners talk go too far. Before the pensioners talk go too far. In almost all situations, the pensioners would very likely pay an insurance through their life that will carry them through that time. That's generally how that works. All the arguments about American healthcare and all of that. The average American has better healthcare than us. You get an insurance and that's what covers it.
Literally.
Emergency healthcare is still subsidized. Now, on what Abdul is suggesting, for me, I would prefer subsidies direct to us, like the fuel subsidy. I prefer that than free education. And here's why. The free education, we don't need the government to educate our children. And before governments started holding that as their responsibility, social, cultural institutions educated children, even for the poor. Your mosque, your mandir, your church would have done that education. They've done it since time. Somehow we believe that the kindest group of people we could find are politicians. It has to be really good political messaging that convinced us of that hogwash. The kindest people in society are the politicians. And somehow we believe that all aspects of society need to be controlled by these group of lying thieves. Otherwise it wouldn't function well. You could have free healthcare run by a church. You could have free schools run by a mosque. You could have the members of these institutions donating to those causes. And those institutions ran those free exercises better than states ran it.
Nathan, how is that? How are these institutions going to run free schools and free healthcare? How?
What?
What?
This is that mad scene. This is
You mean
observe history, my brother.
Before you start to ruin that Kawasaki,
You see, I can't finish my statement.
Go ahead, Abdul. Finish what you say.
Answer to the question.
I'm going to answer.
To pay teachers, they have to provide facilities. So how is it running free?
I'm going to answer. The same way it runs right now. In many countries, including Trinidad, there are religious homes, religious schools. My church ran preschools and for free. Small. Listen, this isn't a strange thing. Before the state took over education in the 19th century, nobody was educated.
I don't know. I can't.
Come now, man, Abdul, you're a Muslim. The Muslim tradition is educating the masses.
Show me one. The only Muslim community I know who had a private school and it basically the imam used to say they can't afford the school fees, whoever sent their child to school is Jamata Muslimin.
No, it's not. It's not. There are mosques all over doing that, currently sponsoring people. 1, 2. Here's the second part to that, Abdul. Here's the second part to that. Wait, just before you finish. This is the statement I have for that. If we start taking people's children, putting them in school and teaching them to walk, by 2 generations, we are going to convince parents that there's no way for your child to learn to walk without the government taking them and putting them in a walk-in school. So the problem here is the government took control of roles they weren't supposed to take control of. We look in the American black community. When the Americans took the role of the black father and said, sister, if you make a child and you don't have a man, the government go take the role of daddy. What did that cause to the black community? They ran out all the fathers because the government took the role so that the natural social institution didn't have the need to fulfill the role anymore.
Nathan, I'm gonna ask the next question. In the Jamaat al-Muslimin Madrasa, right? Many children who are enrolled in
Wait, Treasure, you don't trust the church, but you trust the state? You must be an idiot.
The state.
I don't listen. I ain't even talking about what they teach in the church and all that. I ain't even getting into that. What I talking about is the finances, right? I ain't getting into what they teaching and what indoctrination taking place. I ain't not touching that. You know what the finances? The Jamaat al-Muslimin had 2 schools. They had a primary school. It also had an ECC on the compound, and they had a secondary school. The position of the deceased Imam Yassin Abu Bakr was this. He never used to tell nobody, you know, the school fees, they can't send their child to school. I know that as a fact. Plenty people, children go to school, they Muslim and non-Muslim, who was poor people.
So all you're telling me, Abdul, is it could be done. By the way, Treasure, I would like you, Treasure. No, I just want to say this before Treasure go up. Research the cases, how many abuse cases there were against public school teachers, and then check that compared to church priests. And after you do that research, come back with your folly. Go ahead, Abdul.
What was the outcome of the schools? The secondary school had to be closed down because he could not afford to maintain the teachers' salaries. He could not afford it on his own. Yes, they had sponsors, there are people who used to contribute, yes, but overall in a long term, he could not keep it up.
What did I say? Why did I say that happened, Abdul? I just said why that happened, you know. There were madrasas that existed for 1,000 years without a government sponsorship. How? If the government took control of 99% of the education and you're trying now to fully sponsor something internally when everybody else could go and get it free from the government, of course you're not going to get sponsorship. When all of your big members of your mosque have to pay taxes, so if you have a millionaire member of your mosque, his taxes, his $600,000-$750,000 in taxes per year have to go to the government to go and pay a school to repaint, and then they will hire their friend contractor and waste a couple billion doing it. While that man would have freely donated that, and very likely he would have donated more to his religious organization than to the state if he didn't have to give it to the state.
So are we saying cut the public services and cut taxes, because taxes go and pay either way whether they cut the services?
Of course, that's what I'm saying. That's why you cut the public services. What's that, Abdul? I didn't hear the last thing I said.
That's not happening.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that we remove public education, but then we still take the people money for it. Of course not. And in the short term, here's how it's done very easily and very simply. Because it's not easy to stop the taxes for education. So as long as you're taking the taxes, here's what they do. The amount of money that the government pays for a child to go to school per year, that is given in a voucher form. The child or the child's parent can take that voucher to any institution and the government would pay that institution. It's called school choice, the voucher program. Nearly anywhere that they put that voucher program in, you know what happens to the public schools? They start closing. They start dying. Because when you give parents the choice of where to send them, they don't send them public school. Where does this work? Florida, Texas, basically every red state in the US, and they're pushing for it in New Jersey and a lot of those other states. Many places, most of the places, there hasn't been a place where it hasn't worked yet. There have been no negative, you know what's the negatives that come out of it? The teachers' unions hate it. You could guess why? You could guess why the teachers' unions hate it?
Nathan, good night.
Good night.
I would like to jump in here. I think people, and I think that is a good idea, because if we're paying for schools, our so-called, even though we don't really pay much taxes in this country, our
Who is we?
Taxes.
Ronnie, who is
If
we?
The private sector pays taxes.
You might not pay taxes, but
I just pay taxes.
own a business and you'll see.
So anyway, back to our scene. I agree with what you say about the school choice, because if I had the opportunity to take the same money that they would spend to send my child to school, and I could choose which institute I want to send my child to, I would go and look for the best. Somebody saying, it will create inequality, but how?
It actually does the opposite of that, Ronnie.
Same voucher.
Ronnie, where it has been done, it does the opposite of create inequality. It actually increases the equality. You know why?
Yeah, because poor people can access the...
Exactly. If you're poor in Trinidad, your children go in and end up going the junior sec. While the rich person either pays to end up inside of the prestige school, or if the child passed to a bad school, they pull them out and send them private. Now, your child end up in junior sec, you can't do nothing about that. They had a steady. And if you're poor, you can't get a transfer. Hard luck for that. While the rich person, you hear their child go in CIC, but when you hear the shout, they actually pass for 5 Rivers, but they get a transfer in the first week. How they do that? Shh. But your poor child go and end up in 5 Rivers and stay there. And somehow, these communists and socialist geniuses believe that if we give the poor person the choice between sending their child to 5 Rivers where they have to go, or being able to use that voucher and send them to mindful education where they get one-on-one attention, and I take that money instead. Somehow you believe what would be better for society is that all the poor children still end up in 5 Rivers. How would that be better? Listen, all you upset me, boy. All you Trinis, the kind of colonial mindset that Trinis have. Trinis have this colonial mindset sewn into their brains, where it's like they can't accept that they are a free individual that is supposed to take care of life on their own.
Nathan, what you're saying is something that is right. Cool, I can understand that. The money that we are paying, for the school, we're not paying that in taxes no more. Cool. But Trinity on the other hand, he just 100% chop every single subsidy, but we paying tax down the place still.
I never say that. You say that, boy. Listen, I never say that.
You see that statement?
I feel like they had to argue that one out.
You see that statement?
Yeah.
Well, listen, it are people out here who know how to balance the playing field by any means necessary. So that statement, the world not fear, is a real dangerous type of rhetoric to have, because it have people who will have anything to balance the playing field.
Brother, I believe in human nature, and human nature is not a fair game out here, boy. Nobody, listen, I feel like catching kicks in her, like, but even politicians understand not fair. They will rake in all their funds, talk nicest to all there, and then or the same politicians all they're talking about that thieving money, or they feel the thieving money, like they just walk in the church and they say give me 10 bands. Them don't care about no fairness either, you know. Them just politicking to all there. Why nobody that why I say nobody cares, why
People who doing crime
Don't care.
Them don't care.
Right.
Them balancing the field.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Well, here what? Is it right? When you make statements like, when you make callous statements like, the world not fear. It have people like
color statement that is the reality.
People who willing to balance the playing field.
Well, here there are people who willing, and here's my balance on that, Abdul. I find it should balance all how. Yes, life isn't fair. You want to balance it? Well, make it balanced all how. I agree with Cams. Let us all have it. So you want to balance it? Come and balance, and we'll balance together, and the balance will work out itself. Beauty Cupid said it will make no difference because schools have limited number of spaces. Yeah, but if you're offering to pay how many more schools privately do you think would open? How many teachers would leave the public school and open a private institution to teach? What would end up happening is the good teachers would accumulate more students and more money, and the bad teachers would get none.
Exactly.
But you see, the socialists hate that, because that will be unfair. That will be unequal. Some teachers are going to get a whole lot more, and some teachers are going to have to get a new job. That's why the teachers' unions hate it. No, they're destroying the public education. No. Why? Because the bad teachers can't get no money. Listen, that's how it works. The good teacher. Imagine, just now, Trini, just now. Imagine if we did this with mechanics for your car. Imagine if all of us had to go to Vimcut to get our car fixed, and they took that out of our taxes. And all you see how much cars park up outside Vimcut, all of we would be traveling and walking and riding bike. And then imagine, I am suggesting to the country, we remove all of us paying taxes to go to Vimcut and allow us to go to our private mechanics. And everybody, all these communists and socialists jump up to say, well, nobody go be able to drive, nobody go fix the car. We have to pay for it privately, but there's a mechanic on every corner, and we know who the better mechanics are, and the worst mechanics lose customers, the good mechanics gain customers and get more. Now imagine that with a voucher.
But Treasure, that's how socialism works. Socialism works on the mere fact that if you don't work, you still get paid. Like that's the point. I still trying to figure it out, right? Like there's teachers within public schools that don't do anything,
Yes.
They put some money board, and that is it. They still get paid. They get paid from a government work they work in. But we believe that they're supposed to, because that's fair. That's not fair. You telling me you get a degree, right? You got a degree, you sign up under the Ministry of Education to come and teach. But you find I don't really have to already do nothing. You telling me the teacher that working the ass off to do extra lessons with students and pattern and personalize this thing don't deserve? No, they deserve all my money. And
Yeah.
I want to get them all my money.
And you want to know what, Trini? Yeah, Abdul. Right. I was talking plenty.
Great needs a position. If you're stopping one thing, we stopping the next thing along with it, and that way you'll be able to finance whatever finance. Cool. That makes sense.
But just now, I think we also have to, unfortunately, there are situations where teachers, where the young, vibrant teachers, they come and they want to make the change, but then when they get there, they realize that they're in a bind. The system fighting against them, they cool, because fighting against them. The students as well, horrible students. Listen, or they're raising some horrible children. I must say, parents, or they're raising some horrible children. So the children is so hard.
Well, you see, when the parents don't have to pay for the service, they don't care. When the parents getting it free, they don't care.
They don't, because right. So like, my girl, she said in her son's school, he has multiple teachers that would come into the classroom, write down the chapter and be like, this is what they're doing today, and leave the class. Because the children, they're not listening, they're not doing the work, whatever. So the teacher done, they don't care. You understand?
What is that?
Well,
that thing now?
Ronnie, just now, Ronnie, what?
Some of those children don't want to be in the school either. So they make it hard for children who either they may have found themselves in a situation that they happen to be in class together. But some of these children, they don't deserve to be in school either.
Private schools would solve that too. And what is happening even right now, without the system I'm suggesting, what is happening even right now, plenty of the really, really good teachers that go into the schools and get frustrated, you know where they come? Mindful Education, the student hub. There are teachers that started teaching and leave teaching to work privately in Trinidad where there is free public teaching. Because the free public teaching is so bad. And here's what, even as it is in the private system where the government isn't sponsoring us, many private institutions already, you know how many children I taught for free? You know how many children I taught for free? People do that out of the kindness of their hearts. They don't need the government to come and beat them on the back and take their taxes to do kindness, like what Treasure is saying here. In a socialist country, if you don't do anything and you're lazy, you will get punished. That is exactly it in socialism. Treasure is right in the running. They will throw you in prison. If you don't work, they will throw you in prison because they need you to work. They need you as a slave because they need to capture your labor to redistribute it through the society. In capitalism, you're free not to work. If you don't work, you don't eat. That is all. But no, in socialism, you're a slave. You get whipped to work or they send you in prison to work. That's historically inaccurate. Go look at what the gulag is, Treasure. Treasure, I know why you don't want to come up in the box, because you're historically ignorant. Go read up on what the gulags were in your socialist haven of USSR. Yeah, Trini?
No, it's not even that. Look at what Pol Pot did, right? Like, if you didn't meet a quota, you would die. And yeah. So my thing is this, yes, laziness is never encouraged in any society, right? But if you have a quota to make, there would literally be people willing to cut corners to make such a quota. That's why under the USSR, when they try to implement certain things through central planning, people cut corners and they still got paid and they manufacture horribly. My thing is this, right? Listen, even on my job, where there's a quota to make, people still try to cut corners in order to make the quota and then do the work poorly. Same thing. Under socialism, it just extends even further. So this thing about inaccurate is madness when we have too many examples.
Not just too many, all examples of socialism had slave labor. Because here's the reality, right? I believe this was an experiment done by a university professor. He asked how many people in his class were socialists, and you know how plenty of those university students were? Most of them were. So, he said what is going to happen is he's going to start to mark grades based on a socialized grading. So everybody's grades are added up and everyone gets the mean, the average. So there are 4 of us inside the panel here. If I do the most work, I get 100%. Ronnie got 80%. Abdul got 60%. Trini didn't care too much. He got 30%. He only got attendance. Now they add up all of us and give us our average. The average come nice because I do hard work. All of us get around 70. All of us. But I recognize what I do in 100 worth of work for if I only gain 70. I'm talking about an actual experiment with grades. So what happened in the next exam? The 100 mark worker did less work. Because why would I do 100 mark worth of work to get 70 marks? While 30 mark boss who got 70 the last time, he ain't going to get no motivation. He ain't going to get no motivation to do any more work, so he going to still do the same work. So what happens to the average for the second exam? The average drops. So I didn't do 100 work, this time I only do 70. And Ronnie only did 60. And Abdul did 50. Trini remained at 30. So the next average dropped to 50. And eventually, I was doing 100 and earning 100 for myself. Now you're telling me I'm only going to get 50. I could decrease my work even more and circle the drain with everybody else. But if I'm a hard worker, here's what happens in socialist countries. I leave. I run away as fast as I can because I'm willing to put out more effort and I'm not going to get paid for my more effort. So I want to go somewhere where I will get paid for my more effort. But if I leave, the socialist system that we have in the panel here fails. If I leave, we fail because I'm the hardest worker and I'm the one that puts the most into the system. So if we have a central planner for this panel of socialists, they're going to say, Nathan, you can't leave. They're going to have to build the Berlin Wall to ensure that I can't leave. They're going to have to build the Iron Curtain to ensure that I can't leave. They're going to have to do like China and capture my family anytime I fly out to make sure I come back. They're going to have to do like Cuba and keep your family under close investigation when you fly out to do a job. Because they need you to come back. I don't support central planning. Treasure, I don't think you are a university socialist. I don't mean this as an insult, but I don't think you are a university socialist. You strike me as a Woodford Square, I like Castro, I like Stalin, I think them white American too bad socialists. You strike me as a Bush socialist. Because you don't seem to understand much about the technical aspects and the historical aspects of what you're lobbying for here. How is there socialism without central planning? Huh? That's like saying, even though I met people like this, I like doubles, but I don't like China in it. I ain't want no China in that. I mean, doubles is the China.
You can like doubles, you're doing this all the night.
How you gonna like socialism without central planning? How we going to redistribute the wealth if we don't get it centrally planned? Huh? What?
Well, how you does do that?
I don't know, Ronnie.
How is it well distributed in Trinidad and Tobago?
By and large, that's what we do have we have a strong social safety net. Now, I wanted to get into this piece when we were talking about somebody privatizing in Trinidad context. Because Trinidad context is actually a bit unique. We have sovereign wealth. Wealth that belongs to the country itself. Wealth that the country earns without collecting taxes. How do we spend that? That's the part. Now, for me, I hate the tax and spend idea. Tax and spend bad. But sovereign wealth is a different thing. I don't mind the idea of the country owning its resources. But spending that gets tricky. Now, I think, and it's probably already too late for that, but I think someone with the vision going back in time was supposed to do like the Arabians and like the Norwegians and create a sovereign wealth fund, like they attempted to do with that heritage and stabilization fund nonsense. But a sovereign wealth fund is what we were supposed to create and live off of the profits of that. Like send all our money in there, the profits of the sovereign wealth fund, we live off of that, like Norway. And then we could have done like Norway and had a heaping load of social programs. That would have been easier, because to me, arguing for social programs become much easier when you're not asking to take the money from other people.
Yeah.
It becomes much easier. Yes, we could all sponsor healthcare if the money is coming from the country in general. But if you're taxing me to pay for you eating too much sugar, that starts to seem a little dicey. Hey, let me look to dive out. Let me hear the closing statements there, people. Give me a closing. Mr. Treasure, I don't like how you come with your communism. I tell you today was the day, and you never come to fight your thing, eh? I thought communists were revolutionaries. How you coward so, man? You're a dream chaser, what you saying?
I just want to point out, I don't have any much to say. Did you see the CXC maths paper this year? I mean, I haven't seen a CXC maths paper in about 10 years. And I was shocked, because when I did the exam, it was nothing like that. So I don't know. It was crazy because it was based on an STA paper, right? Because they asked me to do a lot more for a lot less. than when I did the exam. I don't know if you remember. Or if you
I saw the paper, yeah, I did the paper. But
what?
yeah, but Ronnie, it will be a little different for me because I do the paper every year and I'm teaching it continuously. So the changes wouldn't strike me as striking because they're happening, they've been happening. But I think we need a change in our education system and in our exams. I don't mind the SEA changes and the CSEC changes. It's just they need to fine tune it even better. The idea that they're doing with SEA, and I think they're heading in that direction with CSEC too, is that they're trying to get you away from memorization and as it will make it into a kind of more IQ test kind of thing. Tests how your problem solving and situational knowledge would work and all of that. And I think that's actually a more useful thing. The problem would be if the teachers are teaching in that mode. The teachers have to teach with that in mind. And if you have teachers that are accustomed to the memorize and regurgitate of the 90s, and they're still teaching like that, you're gonna cause your students more problems. One of the biggest scam we need to address in our education system is the purchase of textbook. You don't need to purchase one textbook in modern times. You have the whole internet. Listen, those large language models that they call AI, those are bandits, you know. Almost surely, they already read whatever textbook you're looking for, you know. Ask the AI.
Anyway, bye. Send me the correction on the CSEC paper. Because me and my co-worker tried to do it, and boy, I shame myself.
Student Hub does it every year, and just go on his YouTube.
Okay, I will, because I need to see how this happens.
Yeah, you actually goes through each question and thing. I think he does it the day after or something ridiculous like that too. So you get through. So the textbook, woo, funny stuff, Trini. Funny, everything free. Abdul, anything to say on the closing there, boy?
Listen, I don't think it's too late to revamp the system. It will have some casualties in between, but in order to do that, the system of governance needs to be changed first. Nothing can happen without the system of governance being changed. Absolutely nothing. Unless we get a dictator. Somebody don't want to leave office. Alright, so.
A Trini dictator, listen. A Trini dictator had to come real good. Because people, I think some people don't understand that a dictator still has to have the public's approval to a large extent. Even though he's a dictator. If everybody in the country decide they don't like it, he will die very quickly. And it has happened to many dictators. When the country flip, you wrap up. So, a Trini dictator that would work. I think we could probably discuss that the next time. Like, what are the characteristics of he Douglas? Where you feel a red man, or it had to be a brown skin, or a dark man?
Trini, that's the Trini say what a referendum government. Trini, what I want will end crime in less than 12 months.
Okay, I know Abdul, we know. And you're gonna have real men out here that gonna have to use one hand. Real Captain Hook's gonna be out here. Crime done and a bunch of hooks selling for right hand. Alright people. Alright people, that's all I have for now. If you're educated, informed, or entertained, this on hands, yes, Dream Chaser, nearly forget you again. On hands, I think hands would need to elevate above the view of a radio guy. As it is, most Trinidadians see him as the young people radio guy. I don't think many people would take him seriously yet in politics. Now, he has charisma. He understands public speaking already. If he is smart, I don't know the guy personally like that. If he's smart, if he's intelligent, yes, I think there may be upwards to go there. Because judging from what I can see so far, he has what it takes to move upward. What I think he would have to do is the same thing that JW would have had to have done. Be able to separate that view of you just as a radio announcer and now you as someone serious, someone to be taken serious. Because radio announcer is generally a position taken very seriously in our society. And it's not like he was I-95 or Power 102 or a talk station. He needs to make better choices. I don't know the choices the man making. I like that one, Ronnie. I don't know about the choices the man makes. I don't know about the better choices. What you mean between PNM and UNC? He should. I mean, if that's the choice you're talking about, well, I ain't gonna say that. But if you're talking about in his personal life, I don't know the man's personal life, so I can't see. But alright, that's my view on that. I hope you're educated, informed, and entertained. I'm Nathan Swinger. This has been the Mindful Life. Be sure to check us out on Mindful Education if you're looking for that private learning experience. We teach classes from the first babes, from preschool all the way up to Cape. We offer classes. So if you are interested, be sure to hit us up. Mindful Education, way better than any public system. We aim to offer that homeschool style class if you're looking for that. If you're looking for homeschool tutors, if you're looking to put your child into a pod of other homeschoolers, hit me up. Let me know. Until next time, people, I will see you all. Hold it down. Stay good. Stay inside. Outside, a little sketchy. As I always say, marry somebody good, child, and give you some Trini babies. We need